So in this What Flow, we are going to be talking about forgiveness and forgiveness as a whole, forgiving each other and our tips on how to sort of let go of grudges and forgive people as you grow older in life.
Forgiveness has become a lost art. Many people don't like forgiving anyone anymore. They kind of like holding on to grudges because they feel like it makes them feel a bit more prestige and supreme to other people, knowing that other people are seeking their forgiveness and want to make things right, but they don't want to do that. So it's become a lost art, and it's become fashionable to become cold-hearted and to not forgive other people.
Yeah, I think it's attached to an ego as well. A lot of people think that certain people don't deserve the forgiveness solely because they think less of them, and that is a very, very toxic trait to have. Unfortunately, it's something that is commonly seen in our society, within our communities, within our families and friendship circles as well. I believe that when you forgive someone, you're letting go of a burden on your shoulders as well as someone else's shoulders, and it allows you to move forward in ways that you can't even think of until you actually go through that process of actually forgiving someone, but not just saying it verbally, but actually in your heart, clearing that hate or that kind of negative emotion or feeling you might have towards that specific person.
I think with forgiveness, there's a lot of arrogance within yourself, like how Adil was saying about wanting to forgive someone, but you have an ego to not forgive them. Now, there's one thing I want you guys to think about is you're thinking that they're seeking your forgiveness, but have they forgiven you? Now, that's something you have to drop the arrogance within yourself, because at the end of the day, if someone has forgiven you, you should. I personally believe that you should forgive them back. Now, what we're saying is, we're not trying to say that when you forgive them, you become best friends again, or you chill with each other again. What we're saying is just remove that sort of grudge and that burden from your heart that's holding on to something that's happened 3 years ago. Drop it, forgive them, and move on. You don't have to be friends with them, and you don't have to chill with them the same way you used to chill with them before. Because when you've forgiven them, it gives you ease yourself. Like there are people before that might have troubled me or brought drawbacks into my life, which I was holding on to for a while. Then I realized that once you've forgiven them, it's done and dusted. Like I would tell them to their face as well, forgiving you, it's done. Like whatever happened in the past, leave it there, start a new slate or turn over the leaf and get on with your life, because life's so short, you can't hold on to grudges like that.
It's like when imagine you got a business, right, and someone you used to be really good friends with, you've had a fight and you no longer want to work together, but you then have a project you have to work on in the future, and that person has been hired. Yeah. Imagine that, like, you're not professionally, you won't want to work with that person just because you've had a grudge, but do you see how pathetic that sounds?
You've burned that bridge, you've burned that opportunity.
It's very immature, and personally, I've had grudges with people in the past. People didn't like me for no random reason, and alhamdulillah, just recently we cleared our slate, we've kind of gone through things, and we say hi and bye, we're good friends, but like I don't owe anything to them, but they don't owe anything to me. No one has to forgive the other person anymore because we've cleared that, and it's not going to hold me back. So whenever I see that person in public, it's not going to be like, oh shit, I see that person, I want to go somewhere else. It'll be, oh, okay, it's cool, I know him, we've cleared our slate, we can be in the same room and be civil.
In the beginning, you forgave the person, and that person was sincere about it, and they apologized for it. You forgave them. You never know the opportunities and new roads you can create in life, because at the end of the day, as we always say, life is so short. Like imagine that person was to pass away, like you'd regret not forgiving them at that moment of time. So why not just forgive them now?
I have a question for you guys. Yeah. Has anyone done you wrong? Yeah. It doesn't have to be something major, but something that maybe hurt you, offended you, and you had to like forgive them. Even if they didn't ask you for it, you forgave them over time. Yeah. And in the future, you've crossed paths again, and you've had to work with them, and you've realised that they're actually a genuinely nice person, and you've actually accomplished things together. Because me personally, I've had this happen to me countless amount of times.
Yeah. Like as people, I've had disputes with, which wasn't even between me and them. It's between them and a friend, or stupid stuff like that. It's very immature. What I want to get across is, a lot of the times you don't like someone because someone else has told you not to like them, or someone else has told you not to trust them, which in my opinion is back in primary school, secondary school, college sort of grudges. Now most of us are becoming older, we're about to lead our own lives, and we're about to become young adults, or we are adults now. Would you want to be someone who's living a professional and more mature life and still have grudges back from when you're younger? Realistically, no. I don't want to be leading my new life where I'm going to possibly meet the love of my life, be with my kids and seeing someone in public and not being okay with them. That's a life you don't want to be living. You don't want to be holding stuff in the past in the present. Once it's in the past, you've got to understand that was when you're a different person, because everyone grows up and changes.
There is
Do you
a
guys
point,
agree?
yeah, 100% agree with that. There's a point I want to make from that, and that is the people that say, yeah, I've forgiven them, or I've forgiven him and I've forgiven her, but I will never forget what they've done. Now, what you've basically done is you just said to yourself that you've forgiven them, but realistically, you really, deep down, you haven't. Because if you say, I will never forget what they've done, then more or less you're still holding on to that grudge. No one, as I said before, I don't repeat myself, but no one is telling you to be friends. There's always that 3 F's. What's the 3 F's? Forgive, forget, and become friends again. No one's telling you to do the third thing. Just forgive them, forget, learn the lesson from what happened. Learn the lesson, yeah? But obviously, we all know that if you go back to that same person that troubled you in the past, you're probably going to face trouble again. Not to sound negative, but you probably would contradict again. So it's best to just forgive, forget, and move on. That's the best lesson I can give.
What about in terms of like, we obviously we're promoting forgiveness, but let's not forget how difficult sometimes it can be to forgive people. Like there's some things that people can do that change your life, and for the worse, or at least it may seem for the worse, and it's troubled you so much to an extent that you can't even, like, it's psychologically done something to you in your head, and you get these mental illnesses, PTSD, etc., etc. It adds fear, anxious,
and you think about it every day, which
and
affects your mood.
So the thing is, it's sometimes going to be almost impossible for you to forgive someone there and then, or even the next day, or even the next week. But as long as you know in your mind that one day I want to get rid of this hatred in my heart, that is all. That is all you need. Literally, that's all you need. Like
I've got something to say. So the Christchurch shootings happened, and afterwards they were interviewing family members of the victims. A father who lost his child and his wife in the shooting said to the Christchurch tutor, "I forgive you, I love you, and I hope one day you grow from this and you learn to love us."
how much peace must that guy have in his heart?
So much peace. But the lesson I'm trying to give you is most of us have gone through petty shit because we feel like we've been disrespected.
And drama.
Now, respect is earned, and if that person does not respect you, you've got to give him a reason to respect you. Or he might not like you. You don't have to let that trouble you, but you can forgive him for the person he is, and hopefully one day when you cross paths again, he will learn to get rid of his own hatred. But you don't want to be carrying that in your heart, because human beings make decisions based off of actions and experiences. Your actions and your experiences should be better than his, that you don't have hatred for him. You want to have peace with him, you've forgiven him. The hatred he has is for him to deal with.
Exactly.
Like the Christchurch tutor, right? He had hatred for Muslims embedded in him by other people. Yeah? It was embedded by other people into his heart, which is what caused him to commit his actions. Now, if you've got hatred in your heart caused by other people, what's to say that you're not going to commit an action or do something to yourself that's going to affect you as much as, like, mentally as what's happened with him?
I think another point taken from the shooter at Christchurch is that father who forgave him. Like, let's say if he never forgave him, he would like, he currently still has that grief of losing the son and obviously the scenario that happened. But if you never forgive him, he'll have that grief along with that
other grief.
Yeah, he'll have that grief. He'll always have that in that mind. I need to get revenge, or something needs to happen to him, or he needs to be sentenced to death, etc., etc. So not only is he dealing with that grief, he's also got this extra burden that he's dealing with, and it's going to affect him in so many other ways and negatively bring him down in all aspects of life.
If you claim to be a positive person, do you really believe that you can think positively every single day if you know you haven't deep down forgiven someone for some petty shit, as I said?
At the end of the day, let's not forgive people. If it's got to that stage where you can't forgive them and forget their actions, why don't we forgive people for our own benefit, for our own mental health, for our own well-being? Let's forgive people.
That's the message you're trying to put out there, literally for your own mental well-being.
That's it, man.